Your girl owns a lot of shoes. But the last time I moved, I only brought 4 pairs of shoes with me, and have since bought 1 pair here. Of those shoes, we have black dress shoes, black dress shoes, black sneakers, black hiking shoes, and a sparkly pink pair of Chucks. One of these things is not like the other. I didn't actually have anything on my calendar this week for YouTube, which is very unlike me, because everything I have to do in life is all charted out. In some cases, I have to-do lists per the hour. So having a big blank space on my calendar, real weird. But I guess it happened. Not a fan, can tell you that. Nonetheless, I needed to figure out quickly last night what I was going to start with for this week's video, and I initially wanted to do, there's rain on the forecast a couple days this week. It's raining today. I'll have some lovely, indoor mending days that I can do, and so I went to my closet and I started looking at, what I could possibly make interesting on camera, and then I spied my shoes. I work in theater, so of all the shoes I own, and I own a lot of shoes, probably 2/3 of them are black. Non-reflective, light absorbing, as much as possible, black shoes. I know that these have a little bit of reflectiveness going on camera especially, but my pants usually cover those when I'm working. Regardless, I have a lot of basic, boring black shoes. So, as someone who enjoys adding small historical touches here and there throughout my outfits, I thought, what can I do to shoes? Because usually I just look for a shoe that's kind of dressy to where it could pass historically, I guess. And then, a giant cartoon Edison bulb above my head, I realized Spats. If you don't know what Spats are covers for the tops of shoes to be worn to protect the shoes, specifically upper leathers, like on these shoes, from wear, tear, and grime. They're a lot easier to wash than shoes. If I was to wash these shoes, the easiest parts to wash would be the tough soles and not much else. And it's not like tennis shoes where I can throw them in a washer. They have to be cleaned by hand. So Spats protect most of the shoes. They also give that classically historical look, namely early 20th century, to me, at least. I always think of Mary Poppins in Jolly Holiday with the little button-up boots and the classic little Edwardian black and white difference, women's shoes. Men's Spats, like the ones that I plan on making, are a little less flattering to the shape of the foot. They look very bell-shaped, but that's the look I want for this. So I figure I could probably do this in one day, so that's the challenge I'm setting before me. I'm going to make a pair of Spats in one day to give my all-black outfits a vaguely historical touch. I was gonna find a pattern online, and then I realized that it might not fit the shoe I want, so I'm just going to make one. And I don't currently have any cling wrap, but I do, however, have takeout bags. Which, plastic is plastic. Editing me is gonna have such a horrible time listening to all these plastic bag noises. This is the shoe. Once my foot has been sufficiently garbagified, it's tape time. Could this tape be any louder? My neighbors are going to wonder what I'm doing, and I'm going to have no good answer. Now I have a plastic version of my foot in this shoe. We can draw the pattern on. So I'll draw a line up the side of my leg first, where I want the buttons to go, like so. And then over here, I gotta figure out, let's see, where the edge of the shoe is, and I want to go below that to figure out where the bottom of the spat is going to need to be. And then I want it to go a little over the heel as well, so I'll mark that in the back. And do the same on the opposite side, find the edge of the shoe, mark below that. And then on the front, I gotta figure out where I want this to end, because my end of the shoe's right here, but I kind of want it to be a little visible, so I'm gonna put it further up like that. Then I gotta figure out where I want the top of this. Oh, I should put right foot somewhere on this. Okay, we're gonna just right. Just so I remember, because I guarantee you the minute I take this off my foot, I'm gonna forget which foot I put it on. Now I can draw in my seam lines. So I want one up the center front for the buttons, and then this ideally would be one piece, but just in case I can't get it to lay flat, I'm gonna put another seam line here. We shall see. And then I need one up the center back. Now we cut this off my foot. Very carefully, not getting my shoelaces in here. Usually the worry is not getting your skin caught when you're cutting plastic patterns off of yourself. But I'm honestly much more concerned about my shoelaces. They don't grow back. Huh. Okay. Now that your sweaty foot has been let go of its prison, we can start truing up this pattern and transfer it to paper. I was looking over my just channel stats the other day and realized that this will be my 49th YouTube video, and next week's will be my 50th full-length YouTube video. I started to make these my sophomore year of college, and it's pretty crazy because I didn't expect it to come as far as it has. I started this more as a hobby than anything else, at the behest of my mother. And it still kind of is just a way to share with my family what I've been up to, because I'm really bad at making phone calls, and I live much farther away than the rest of them. But it's slowly kind of transformed into so much more, and I have like an actual following now, which is pretty crazy. Like, people want to watch my stuff, so I'll talk about it a little more in my 50th YouTube video, but yeah, crazy stuff, right guys? What I'm doing now is assembling all the pieces together, but before that I was scrolling the TikTok, as you do, and one of my friends on there, Sumali Eaton, was talking about all this like imposter syndrome that comes with being in the sewing community. And I think that's just really true, because no one feels like they're good enough at one or the other skills to be counted as whatever title you want: tailor, seamstress, sewist, stitcher, etc. And that just, it hit me so hard, because I've been having such major just like self-doubt and imposter syndrome lately, because I did this stereotypical thing. I finished school and I moved to the big city. And I say it like that because like I have felt while I've been here, like, what am I doing, you know? But then I realized the other day, because I was talking to my dad, and he went, well, of course, you know, you moved away and you've been successful so far and you already got a job. And I was like, oh, I did it. Oh, I am not a literal piece of living. Interesting. But yeah, don't believe everything that your brain tells you you are, because, yeah, sometimes take a step back and just go, what are you on? To your own brain. Because it really does help to just think, who is in charge here? Because the reports that I'm getting from myself are not matching up what's happening out there. Trying to live in self-confidence a little more these days. And part of that self-confidence is dressing fabulously. So I gotta get on these. Frickin' 90% of sewing is undoing the work you did wrong. And I just... ugh, why did I pick this hobby? We now have our outer and lining pieces, and so I'm just lining them up right sides together, and I'm going to sew along the top and the bottom of each one, leaving these two ends open so that I can flip it inside out and make sure everything gets pressed nicely together when the time comes. The hardest part of this project is really working with the curves. So the top and bottom of this are definitely not the curviest pieces, and so they are going to be much easier to handle under the machine than some of these curvy pieces of the side seams were. I do want to make sure that everything does still match up, just for symmetry's sake, so that I don't have to go over this another time. I would like to not have to break out the seam ripper for a second time today.
What I'm doing next is taking those open ends of the spats and ironing them closed so that I can top stitch over all of the edges of my piece to give it a nice finished look. Once that's done, I can take my pattern and mark out where I want to use my buttonholes. This I'm just going to do with the buttonhole foot on my machine rather than tackling them by hand, because I have a new machine with keyhole buttonholes that I wanted to try. And I'll be honest, if I was going to finish this in a day, hand-done buttonholes were not the way to go. But hand-done shank buttons will be put on because I know of no other way to do this, and then it's time for the reveal.
What a fun one-day make that was challenging because of all the weird curves this thing has. It was a lot like when I make corsets, that like it has such a shape to it. Even when it's laid flat, it's all curvy, which is just, yeah, it's really cool to find elements of tactics and things that come up in other projects also coming up in things that you just wouldn't expect to see them in. So yeah, shoe spats, like tiny foot corsets, but like not in a weird way. These buttons are little like faux mother of pearl buttons. They might not be faux, I don't know. They're older, so they may be actual mother of pearl buttons. I have not checked, but they are white. I did have black buttons because the contrast of the black on white does look so cool for spats. White on white, not a uncommon thing that I've seen in old Spats. Just not the choice that I would have initially made. However, these are shank buttons, which means that they don't have the holes going through them. They have the hole underneath them. And I wanted shank buttons specifically for this because I didn't want buttonholes showing through. And I only had white shanks. So white on white it is. But I'm still pretty happy with the way it came out looking because they're shiny enough that they're off-white. And so there's still some of that contrast going on. And I think I look so, like, cute and gentlemanly in these. Yeah, absolutely adore them. And I think it will be fun to be able to wear these to work and then just unbutton them and take them off when I need to be in crew blacks. But then, you know, I can always add them back on later. Because I also usually have, like, an extra shirt with me when I work, just in case I want to switch out my black shirt for another one when I go home. So having these as part of my easily take on, take off to change an outfit up collection of clothing, I'm so happy that I did this. They're so like little lad. I may still at some point in the future do a mending video. I do have a lot of mending that I discovered I need to do. So many of my clothes are being held together by pins. It's a little embarrassing. But if mending on camera and my methods of putting my clothes back together so they last longer is something that might be interesting to you guys, let me know. Otherwise, I will just make it a day of chores and not turn my camera on. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I enjoyed making it for you. If you want to see me explore some more historical fashion, then maybe go visit my channel. I make things and I talk about things. Great combo. If you are not feeling like your attention span is up to more full-length YouTube videos, maybe go check out my Instagram or my TikTok. And if you would like some perks and to support the channel, check out my Patreon. If you want to do the bare minimum, I have a $1 tier that will get you mentioned at the end of videos. For a whopping $12 a year, your name can appear here during the bloopers. I hope you're having a good day, or night, or whenever you happen to be watching this, and bye! Freaking fracking sirens, dude. The question is now, how long till I stain one of these with lipstick? I give it a week. Looking at these is pretty funny because you can see these shoes are like 2 years old now, but you can see how I stand in them. I stand like this when I'm resting and leaning. No comments on my posture, please, because this is definitely not helping my argument. Sometimes the amount of sheer genius within me is frightening. Oh, my hip just made such a pop noise. It should be on the top 10 charts. It's a temporary subject. It's a momentary lapse. Something's missing. Tea. Completely set up for filming. Didn't get a cup of tea. Oh my gosh.